morning-ish. It's 11:30 on Tuesday. I'm on a break in between my homeroom class. 2 sessions today with them. Nothing fantastical to report because they are just working on their district assessment. However, I did confirm that my theory was correct in that their interim assessment, the answers to all the questions was erased because the test expired. So even though, like I said yesterday, we were given an extension to complete the assessment by the district, that was independent of the CASP site. And so the CASP site, after 10 days, just submits the student's test, making it so that they don't have access to what they had already done on it. And so I had to reach out to someone at the district level because that happened to another person on my team today. And so I asked like what was going on, and that's what they said, which is what I thought was the issue. But initially I was told no, but I knew that had to be it. So yeah, so they're just working independently, and while they're working, I am grading their essays on StudySync. It's a close read assignment for the speech, blood, toil, tears, and sweat. I typically use the essays as like the test. The think questions, like the last, or with this particular selection, I chose one question and I used that as a quiz. And that seems to work well for me. And as I'm reading these, like the good news is I'm seeing some growth in some students. Like in the beginning, there were no topic sentences, there were no transitional phrases, there was no conclusion sentence. But I've seen an improvement in most of my students in that regard. But the biggest struggle continues to be year after year is just teaching kids how to not just cite text evidence, not just say in paragraph 12 it states, but then to thoroughly explain why that is a relevant piece of text evidence to use for their response. And a lot of them try and really hit that word count by just chalking their essay full of just direct quotes from the text. So before they started working on their response for the district assessment today, I told them it would be a good idea for you to log into StudySync to see the comments that I left for you on your last essay, because they will probably serve you well as you go into writing this assessment. So I think some of them did take a look. There were a few that didn't have any feedback because I hadn't gotten to theirs yet. But I'm just about done grading my homeroom class, which I'm very proud of because that means I'm close to being done. Not everyone turned it in. I don't know why. And then I have to grade my switch classes. So I got a lot of it done last night. Last night I had an epiphany last night. Last night I decided I need to be better about just saying I'm gonna stop working at this time in the evenings, because you know, when I say goodbye to you guys for the day, normally I have to cook, eat dinner, and then I'm gonna do a little bit more work. And last week I was just frustrated because every night I just felt like I was working longer and longer and not getting a chance to read. So last night after I cooked dinner, I sat on the couch with my Chromebook and I said I'm gonna work on these essays until, I think I said the cutoff time was 9:30 because I go to bed around 10:30, 11ish. So I just sat and watched The Bachelor, just something that is not going to make me any smarter, just some background noise, and worked on these. And then at 9:30 I was like, well, wherever you're at, you're going to finish. And so I just need to be more consistent about that in terms of how I manage my time in the evenings, because I need to have like that wind down time. And I learned that last week, where I essentially had no wind down time every night last night. So I don't know, I don't think today is going to be that interesting because I'm just doing assessments with both classes. I'm grading. And so, yeah, I just want to check in and tell you that there's nothing that I want to share. I don't know. So I'm going to keep grading. They come back at 12:05. So I will talk to you at some point later in the day. Well, what an uneventful vlog indeed this is. What time is it? It's 5:30, somewhere around there. And I just got back from picking up Jenny's prescription. She has her hydroxyzine. And the last time I spoke to you, I think was like this morning in between the first and second session of my homeroom class. And you didn't miss much. I didn't pick up the camera because nothing really was happening. Like I said earlier, they were taking their interim assessments. I was grading their essays. Let's see, what's something concrete I can give you guys from today. I will say, I think I didn't say this before. The only difference between my homeroom class and my switch class is that I did spend some time with my switch class today showing them an example of an essay response that doesn't quite hit the mark with the explanation of their text evidence, a strong topic sentence, use of transitional phrases, a conclusion sentence. Like, just read it to them. It was a sample from a student in my other class, so it was no one in that particular class, so that no student was like, oh my gosh, she's reading mine as like the bad example. And their name was removed. Like, I took a screenshot of just the text and the student's name wasn't present. So we did talk about that, and I asked them to first identify some things that the student did right or that the student was trying to do. So they were able to identify that the student attempted to have a topic sentence, attempted to use transitional phrases, but they were also able to see the areas where there was some improvement needed. Then I read them an example of an exemplary response, and that was actually from a student in that class, but I didn't tell them who it was. So I said, I'm not going to tell you who this is. If they recognize their own essay, they can choose to let you know who it is or not, but unless they give me permission to do so, I won't share it, because although we sometimes assume students would appreciate being like praised publicly, some of them would just be mortified or embarrassed, so they don't want people to know. So the student was okay with it, because the class was like, after I finished, who was that? And they were guessing in the chat. And I said, well, the person that it belongs to, if they send me a direct message in the chat saying I can share, I'll let you know. So I did, and then they were all super nice and supportive to her. So I did that before they actually worked on their assessment. So we lost a little bit of time, but they'll make up for it tomorrow because they have the extra class session tomorrow. But I thought it was valuable. Like, I wanted them to see what I mean by elaborate on your explanation of your text evidence. Your topic sentence needs to be clear and strong. And so I think after they heard the second one, which was like the exemplary one, they had a better idea of that. So that was nice. And then at the end of class, that student who did a really good job stuck around and said, thank you for sharing my essay as an example. And I felt so good, and it built my confidence up, because the kids were really being, very complimentary to her in the chat. So I have that to offer. Like, I did that. That was a little different. And then after class, I did the usuals, checked emails, got everything loaded on Google Classroom for tomorrow, which is just essentially the same thing as we did today. Talked to my assistant principal on the phone because she was frustrated, as was I, that we were not informed that the interim assessment would just automatically expire after 10 days and the students would lose any saved work. Like, that was not communicated to us, and if it was, no one has any recollection of that. So we talked about that and a couple other things, and then I took care of some social media stuff that I have to do, and then I went to PetSmart to pick up Jenny's prescription. So it's 5:30, and I actually think I'm going to take a shower, which is pretty early for me to do right now. Put my pajamas on, and I'm just going to go downstairs and continue to grade. I think I'm going to set a boundary and just say the only thing I'm responsible for taking care of tonight is finishing the essays, and I probably am about halfway done altogether. And just when I'm done with that, be done, unless I feel just so motivated and inspired to do something else, which I don't think is going to happen. And then just rest and relax. So I don't know. I didn't get anything exciting in the mail except for my Blue Apron shipment, but you guys see that. My eyebrow pencils came in from Nordstrom, so crisis averted. When the current eyebrow pencil that I'm using runs out, I have 2 backups. And but that's it. So just an ordinary day. If you enjoyed the vlog, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. If you're not following me on Instagram, you know that I would love to have you over there. And if you'd like to leave a comment, feel free to do so, and I will respond to it at my earliest convenience. And as always, I hope that you are well, and if you are not well, be well, and I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully with something more interesting to share. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night.